Painted Black, a being of motivation to do more, to be more, and to have higher expectations. A new standard of us, true representation that we can trust. Standing against discrimination of all, Black, white, foreigners, gay, fat, small, insecure, or just lost. Painted ConvoS is an outlet for voices that aren't out yet. I want to give people a new aspect. I want to create a platform for those who deserve it, but that's not hot yet, where every perspective is needed for every topic. And although conversations get heated, no one gets mistreated, because this is an unjudgmental territory, and there's nothing but respect for everyone's story. Thanks for tuning in to Painted ConvoS, presented by Painted Black.
Thanks for tuning in to Painted ConvoS, Episode 8, Discrimination for All. In this topic, we'll talk about everything from politics, natural disaster, and what is the definition of a peaceful protest. Thanks for tuning in to Painted ConvoS, Episode 8, Discrimination for All. Question 1. How do you feel about Donald Trump and his ongoing conflict with North Korea?
Well, one thing that I've learned in life and in personal business is that it always has to be about a resolve. It should never be about ego. This seems to be more about ego than the resolve of the community, of the globe. So it seems more egotistical from Trump's behalf that he feel like he has something to prove or something against this gentleman, as opposed to thinking of the global impact that this war could have on the world at large.
Interesting. You have something?
Well, you know, this situation, just as with other situations in the past, is just a matter of, like, you know, just the U.S. trying to force their hand on people who are not willing to carry out their beliefs and their visions with things. You know, it's like we always want to go overseas and put our, you know, property on somebody else's soil. And then when they, you know, reject us for it, now we want to go into conflict. And, you know, he offered, I think it's called diplomacy, I believe is what it's called. He offered a diplomacy to them recently, and they rejected it. And, I mean, I don't blame them. We've been trying to bully him for months now. So, I mean, I understand.
All right, so then my question is, if you take Obama, who's been in office for 8 years, again, if you're about resolution, then it's not about being right. It's about doing what's for the grand scheme, a bigger picture. So whether Korea or America is right, it seems no one is battling for the resolution as to, okay, you know what, we may not agree, but going to war definitely isn't the answer. So whether we've been known as bullies as Americans, I don't know. We're not in the office. We really don't understand what's really going on. But it seems that we're more of an aggressor in this situation as opposed to saying, okay. Okay doesn't mean that you're right. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It means it's not even worth the war. So, again, to me, it seems more egotistical because the way it's being handled is I'm going to do this. This is all about me, as opposed to I'm putting a lot of lives in jeopardy here. Is it really worth what it is that we're doing here? So for me, I think it needs to be about resolution as opposed to anything else.
Another thing, I don't feel like the U.S. government, you know, thinks that North Korea mean business just because, I mean, you know, that same guy's been threatening to nuke us for years. You know what I mean? It never happened. I believe, like I said, we just don't believe they mean business. And then, you know, it's going to take for us to get bombed in order to stop messing with people like that.
And I think that that's what I'm most in fear of. I'm not really the type of person that's going to fake the funk. I don't know too much about the politics and what the beef is originally from. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie about that. I'm just in fear of, you know, war. I'm in fear that, you know, we would get retaliated against, and it's just not going to be on Trump. You know, I feel like I'm afraid of war on land. I think that that's something that we should definitely think about and considering, because I know someone personally that is going off to North Korea in January. Like we're shipping American troops out to North Korea already. So I just hope that, you know, we keep that in mind. And as much as I don't know, you know, much about the backstory, I have been trying to keep up with what's going on recently. You know, like serious, like it's a best friend. Like, so what he said now, type ordeal, because I just really care about that.
I have something. I personally think it's a pissing contest. Like, can I curse? Yeah. I can curse? Okay, good, because my mouth is foul. Yeah. But, to make your point. Right. Well, I think it's a pissing contest, and I think this is Trump's way of showing that he can piss further, or his dick is bigger, or I just think that, I doubt it too. I mean, if you look at his hands, then obviously it's not. But I just think that it's his way of saying, you know, you can do this. Like North Korea, their leader has always been a dictator. He's always been shown as a powerful dictator. And I think this is Trump's way of saying, well, I'm powerful too, and I can do this too. And I don't think that it really has anything political, because we really have nothing to gain by owning North Korea. We don't have anything to gain. It's not oil. It's not, we really don't have anything to gain. And I just feel like this is his way of showing that he's a bigger leader or something like that.
That's honestly what I really think it boils down to, because at this point, a lot of the people, American people, we don't really know, a lot of people don't know what it originated from, or our different policies. You know, at one point he had a different target when he first started out. So I just kind of feel like he's honestly, I don't know if it's something personal with just North Korea. I really honestly just feel like it's a pissing contest, and he's just trying to prove himself. I think that he made a lot of promises before he got into office, and I think that plays a major role in a lot of how he runs his entire ship now. You know, I think that he is just being ruled by money, and war is money, if you think about it. So, you know, as soon as that goes into effect, you know, you'll be surprised of how different the economy is going to be, and how it's going to change. So.
Just one quick statement, just so y'all know, the furthest that North Korea's missiles will be able to touch will be Guantanamo Bay, which is in Cuba. So the U.S. really is not a threat when it comes to their missiles. They will not be able to reach us. If you don't believe me, look it up.
I was in the military. I was in the Navy, and Guantanamo Bay was a naval base, and I think it's closed, like as far as an American naval base now. So it's like, okay, shoot your shot, you know?
Well, I do have to comment on that. It might not reach here, but depending on like the level of the type of bomb that they have, it could be like a air thing where it could hit a certain point, but then the air will travel, and the particles from the bomb could still affect us. So depending on how big it's, you know, how much nuclear it is.
I mean, my whole thing is, I think it's just scary anyway, because sending our troops over there, you know, to deal with whatever they have going on is a lot, when I feel like a lot of the issue is personal. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not that big, you know. Maybe there's something they're not telling us currently, but I don't feel like it's worth war. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our next question. Question 2 is, why do you think they refuse to call the Vegas situation an act of terrorism? What is up with that?
Because he's white.
Okay, so
Because he's white. I think if he was Muslim, or a follower of Islam, or any of those countries, or even if they'd be called a terrorism immediately. I think that what he did was an act of terrorism because he caused terror. It was homeland terrorism. And I think the only reason why he has not been labeled that is because he is a white man. If he was black, it would have been like a thug, shot up, you know, this, or we would have had labels. And I think because he's a white man, he was labeled as like there were some mental issues, or he was the lone wolf. I don't even know. I had to Google lone wolf because I had no idea what that meant. But terrorist, I know what that meant, and I would have immediately said, oh, it's a Muslim person or something like that. So I think it wasn't labeled as an act of terrorism because he's a white man.
What I might say might be completely off the wall, but I believe like there's more than one person. I don't believe there's a lone wolf. Like I believe that there's more than one person behind the shooting. And to be honest with you, I believe the government's behind some of this mass killing. Like, and it might not be my place to even say anything, but I don't believe that it's just one man by himself. I mean, look at the Facebook killer. You never heard anything about him since. I believe that the government has something to do with behind the killings and things like that. You know, they don't want so many people on the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like they do things like the Ebola virus. We haven't heard anything since 2014, 2015, whenever that came out. Like, I believe the government has stuff to do behind these things. You know, you hear mixed stories like the government calls off the federal government from investigating and things like that. Like, there's ulterior motives behind these actions. I mean, to be honest with you, that's just what I think.
I don't believe in no way, shape, or form that this man even did it, to be honest. I feel like he was a scapegoat similar to Harvey Oswald in the JFK murder. You know, you're dealing with an old 65-year-old dude that was retired, that really didn't have much to live for, per se. Had already sent some money off to some people. So I think he understood what his role in this situation was. But again, for us as a community, it's almost like the battles and the things that we get caught up in don't have any impact on our community. So it seems that we're so caught up in whether the Vegas shootings, and like, what about the shootings in our own? I'm more concerned with the terrorist sitting next to me than some white dude up in the Mandalay Bay that they claim shot a bunch of country folks who voted for Trump in the first place. So, you know, did he do it? I really don't believe he did. I think it's a conspiracy theory that he took the fall for something much greater than anything that we can know.
No matter what, it's a distraction. That's it. It's a distraction from what's really happening in this world.
Right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to our next question. Question 3. How do you feel about the restriction of gay blood donors? So during the time of Vegas, they had a celebrity that had an issue with the fact that they were turning down gay blood donors. When it was a incident where it was just so much tragedy, you know, I think that everyone volunteering to help out was something that, you know, and I guess it caused an uproar with people because they were turning down people. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that that's an act of discrimination, or do you think that that is a form of being cautious? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the first thing is a question. Do they not do screening for everybody? So if they screen the blood, whether they get the types, they get the disease, okay, you got some shit with you. So sexuality, I don't understand how it comes into play. So I don't feel that sexuality should have anything to do with someone donating. I think once you do the proper screening, then it goes through the same process as it does with a straight person. Because we all know there's many straight people with a lot of fucked up shit they riding around in. So I don't think to stereotype from a sexual perspective, it is totally discrimination.
And the only thing I want to speak on it is that the thing is I've worked in the health department industry before, and diseases are dormant, is medication out here that can hide a lot of things. So a lot of people don't understand that just because you screen a person don't necessarily mean that they're safe. You know, just to piggyback off some of the things that were said, that right, you shouldn't worry about my sexuality. You should be worried about how many partners have I had, how many unprotected sex partners I've had, because of the simple fact everybody is a carrier of something that you don't know of, and the doctors don't always catch everything. You can screen me today and I'll be fine, and then tomorrow I watch people drop dead and you be like, how did they drop dead? And then you do the autopsy and all of a sudden, oh, they had this and that and that. Well, why didn't we detect that yesterday? Now we've taken their blood and put it in somebody else. Now, and that blood went in somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. So it's like, if we're going to be fair, we need to be fair all the way across the board and protect everybody.
Ask yourself this: if you're about to die, do it matter? I mean, you know, you're on your dying deathbed and you hear questioning as to the sexuality of the person donating blood. If you don't give it to me, I'm going to die. If you do give it to me, whatever you got, we're going to work through this.
Exactly.
That's true.
I mean, I feel like I guess I can see it both ways as well. Like, it is a protection measure, but then everybody needs to be cautious as well. But they have that in Africa too. Like, if you've had sex with someone that's, you know, directly from Africa, an African native, you have to wait a certain amount of time too. So it's not just, you know, sexual preference, it's, you know, regional as well. It's where you're from, so.
Didn't know that. So we're going to go ahead and go to our next question. Question 4. In recent news, Kaepernick files grievance against NFL owners for collusion. Do you think he has a case? So I literally saw this today and was just like, wow, okay, that's interesting. That's different. And I'm proud of him. My opinion is I'm for it. I definitely want him to do everything that he possibly can to feel like he can get justice for, you know, feeling like he was, you know, unjust about, you know, the whole ordeal. I feel like somebody could have gave him a job. I've had plenty of people that actually watch football heavily. I'm not the type that's going to fake the funk and act like I know about football, this, that, and the other. I heard that he wasn't like a grade A, the best player on the team.
He brought them
to the
Super Bowl. Stop playing.
But at the end of the day, but that's a lot of people's argument. They were saying, you know, a lot of people's argument was saying that he should have just, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't that good to be that rebellious. And I just can't believe that.
First off, Kaepernick should have a job. I'm not a big NFL fan simply for all the politics and stuff that go into it. I am a college football fan all day long. Go Vols all day. but I don't watch NFL, and simply because, you know, there's too much that goes into it. Colin Kaepernick should have a job at the end of the day. You know, Aaron Rodgers just went out, but watch, they're trying to bring back Tony Romo and everybody else, but Colin Kaepernick is still on the free agent list. That man brought the 49ers to a Super Bowl. That man has done nothing wrong. He is perfectly capable of doing his job, and I feel like the NFL is discriminating against him because he was the first person to stand up and take a stand against this movement. Like, it's not fair. It really isn't. They will bring back a grade F quarterback, grade D quarterback, and not even care, and they're overlooking Kaepernick. And I don't like that.
Just to answer the question, do I think that he has a case? Yes, he has a case. Let me just say this. I feel like there's so many other players in the NFL that's done worse than take a knee.
Yeah, like beat their wife up.
Yes.
Like beat their wife to
There's
sleep.
been a lot worse. Murder, everything.
Murder, yes.
I feel like he does have a case, and I feel like they are discriminating against him. And it's just wrong. Like, they get together, and I do think they're getting together, and they're talking about this, and they're blocking him out. It's like blackballing, just like with actors and actresses. They're blackballing this man for no reason, because I feel like I said, other players have done worse, and they're still playing today.
Don't get me wrong, he has a case. He definitely got a case. But when you first asked, was his timing wrong or was his place wrong? You can say no, but I'm gonna disagree with that though. Because I feel like when I'm going somewhere or when I'm doing something to enjoy myself, dealing with all that y'all got going on, I didn't come here for that. I came here, I spent my money, first of all, to come here and support my team and enjoy myself, get me some beers, have me some food, and have a good time. I didn't come here for the riffraff between the politics of it or how somebody feel personally. I came here to watch a game. I came here to do X, Y.
So can I ask you a question? So you think that's the thoughts on a lot of these people, like a lot of these older white people, or these investors, or these owners? Do you think that's their thought? Like they feel like I didn't come here for that, and so you don't think do you think it's like a such thing as a peaceful protest because he didn't interrupt anybody else? He didn't interrupt the music. He didn't physically touch anybody else.
I'm not saying I can't speak for like owners or anybody else in that type of standpoint, but me personally, if I'm going to the game and I don't care if you stand up, I don't care if you pledge to the flag, I do not care. That does not matter to me. And that's all I'm saying, like the whole aspect of the thing, I get the reason why they going in. I get the reason, like, okay, people, but now you got like high school cheerleaders kneeling. Like, what are we doing?
Well, Colin Kaepernick, before he even kneeled, he went for some advice from a veteran, and a veteran suggested you should kneel. That's not disrespecting the flag. It's so many people caught up, exactly. It's so many people caught up in him kneeling for the flag that they're not paying attention to the real issue, why he was kneeling. Yeah, he did some wrong things along the line, like saying he didn't vote. You can't say, I'm doing this for this and then don't vote. That's explaining what you're trying to do.
All right, so based on what this young lady to my left said, that she didn't come to this event for that, was the mere reason why he did do it, to bring awareness to those that didn't come for it. Because when brothers get shot down in the street, they looking to go home. So what he did was to bring awareness for those that don't know. You don't protest for the people that know what's going on. You're bringing awareness for the people that don't know what's going on. So, yeah, you paid your $50 to come to the game, but yet I got brothers and sisters that's dying, and you're asking me to praise allegiance to someone that really doesn't care about my people in these streets. And the fact that you're here, I'm going to let you know I got an issue with this right here. So he actually did take a kneel and take a stance for those who didn't care. See, you don't protest and have these conversations amongst people that are all in the same conjunction. No, you do it for those that don't want to hear it. Those are the ones that you're going to. Kaepernick also took a team to the Super Bowl. Roth, what's your man that played for the Steelers? Roethlisberger caught 2 sexual charges in the state of Georgia, was never suspended, contract remained. But then you got a brother that took a kneel. He wasn't the only one. He had other teammates on the team that took a kneel too, but he was the only identifiable one, and he was a starting quarterback. So now this case isn't about win or lose. It's about making the NFL having to explain their injustice. So whether he gets a contract or money, but the mere fact that they have to stand before this Negro and explain themselves, they don't like that.
Now, first to answer the question, yes, he does have a grievance against the owners because they are blackballing him. But to counter your argument about the whole Ben Roethlisberger situation, First off, Kaepernick was like the third string quarterback when he started doing the kneeling shit. He's trying to get attention to get himself back on the field. Ben Roethlisberger was a damn starting quarterback. You feel me? No, he was. What you mean? How do I know?
How do we know? When someone steps to the forefront for justice, we question their heart. So regardless of his rationale, he was trying to get attention. He was trying to get attention for a cause because he knew if I take this knee, I'm not about to become the first string quarterback. So if someone takes a step towards progress, we question why they're taking a step as opposed to applauding the fact that they took a step. I've been sitting at home the whole time and injustice has been going on. So that's the challenge that I have with the culture between 40 and under. Revolution was never something we had to experience. So when someone takes a step towards it, everyone wants to judge what it's supposed to look like when none of us was there when Martin and Malcolm was doing it. So how can we judge a man that's making an effort? He knew he was sacrificing when he took that knee. There was going to be some repercussions and consequences. And he might have waited until he was third string to do so because he said, you know what, my contract was 100, this year is 25. This might be the right time. But the timing is never too late when it comes to protest and justice.
Let me ask you this. So you think that it was just a publicity stunt? You think that he was honestly doing it for more attention? You think?
No, I don't think he was just honestly doing it for more attention. But at the time that he was doing it for, he was on his way out the NFL.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that?
Wait, but does it matter?
It don't matter, but that was the whole circumstance of the coming of whatever he had going on. Because the argument he had, he could have been made the shit. Because Mike Brown got killed in 2015 when he was still a starting quarterback. So he could have been took his ass and got on the knee when he.
But every man comes to consciousness at their own time. You can't judge a man's consciousness.
So let me ask you this. So my thing,
But you're placing judgment on his timing.
So it's happenstance and circumstance, right?
No,
the time that he decided to do it was at a bad time.
We don't know where his heart was at. Again, every individual comes to consciousness at their own point in time. Okay, I was raised not to eat pork. I ate pork at 16 years old, had a little barbecue, ended up eating some ribs. Oh my God, what am I doing? So again, everyone evolves at their own pace. How do we judge evolvement? You can't. Every baby doesn't walk at the same pace. Every child doesn't read at the same pace.
I just want to say something because this right here is really just touching me deeply. Just from the different perspectives that I absolutely love and respect. Everybody, like I honestly enjoy it because to hear another side is just amazing. But to also understand that we as a people, we got to understand like we can't be so judgmental on our own. Just because, let me say this. Even though people, this is a large thing and people are paying X amount of dollars to get season tickets or come to this event or whatever the case may be, and they might not be coming to see this, but we gotta put this in our face if we wanna stop losing people. We gotta showcase this if we wanna stop losing people. Now, I don't know what his motives could have been. I don't know if he felt the urge to do a knee way back when he was on top and he was just like, you know, my contract out, I don't give, whatever. I wanna stand up for something. I'm just happy that he did. And we as a people, just because it might not have happened to us, like maybe nobody close to me, I will admit, nobody close to me has been a victim of being shot by a police officer or nothing. No one has. But when I see it on the news or when I hear about the news, I still feel the pain and I'm still hurt by it, you know what I'm saying? So even though I don't know what the motive could have been or whatever the case may be, I think that whether we are displaying it and disrupting them while we're displaying it, even though we're doing a peaceful protest, I don't feel any shame of putting it in their face, you know? And I think that that's how we must do it if we want to get change. Otherwise, you know, where else? I mean, white people don't watch anything else besides our music and our trends. If we're gonna start a trend, where else can we go to protest? We protest in our own streets and mess up our own neighborhoods. So where else can we go to protest? Let's protest on something that they are sponsoring, something that is being watched by millions and millions of people. Because I don't know, just because I don't have a brother that's been killed, I don't want no more brothers to be killed. Right. And that's just my perspective. Go ahead.
But then my question is, I come from a mixed family. I'm black and white. So I come from a mixed family, and I was raised by my white side. I don't know my black side of the family, but then my question comes, if that was a white quarterback, what would they do? Would they still have the same stance? Would they still have the same endorsements? Would they still have the same contracts? That's my question.
If he was a white guy that kneeled for gay rights, I think it would be worse. Yeah, I mean, they frown upon that I feel like on all sports, they frown upon homosexuality because they don't want it to be looked at. Like, that's when you see a basketball player, they always got chicks around them. They always in the club. They live a baller lifestyle, so they don't want a gay person to, be in the forefront. So I think it would have been even worse.
I can agree with that. I'm going to agree with you on that because in my eyes, football is the old white man okie doke sport. He got y'all black boys out there running around across this field making money off y'all, and that's what they doing. That's it. So that when he said it was worse, I agree. It might be not if not worse, it equal. If not worse, at least equal. Because at the same time with a gay dude, I'm telling them old white men, they not trying to hear that. They not trying to see that.
So hold on. If I was a white man and my son came out gay in the NFL, but yet a Negro decided to go against the flag, you don't think that I'm going to make a circumstance to make sure my son still plays? So no. Again, what I'm saying is do the balance of it all. We're talking we're talking race and we're talking sexuality. If I'm a white man and my son takes a kneel for gays marriage or whatever it is he's protesting from a homosexual perspective, as we're going to make atonement. Atonement is always done when white America decides to protest whatever it is they want to. It's always rules to it. We're going to lean this way because of that.
So like I said, now that I think about it, it might be better. I mean, as much as I hate to do speculation on things, there was an instance with a black guy who was gay in the NBA. I believe his name was Jason Collins. Jason Collins was really old and really past his prime and was never good in the first place. But he got a contract signed for like one day just so he could get on the court and, play and all that. So that goes to show you people do support. I think people do probably support gay people more than black people. Just because, like I said, if that was just a black man.
I don't know if y'all must don't understand. Like, if you work at a corporate place, like, if you say something out of the way and discriminatory towards a gay person, do you not know? Like, do you not know the repercussions of that? Like, I've seen people that got cars, like company cars, because somebody has said something out of the way to them that was offensive. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I want you guys to realize homosexuality is everywhere. Like, these people are in power. You got some of the most successful people. These people are making shows. Like, you can tell by the shows that who's in power, because the shows are more openly sexual to me. To me personally, you can see frequently two men kissing, and that that it's okay. They're rationalizing it, and it's okay because there's something on the everyday world. So understand that people are not that receptive to gay marriage and this, that, and the other, because people are showing this on ABC. These are channels that you don't even have to have cable for. So I think that they are more accepted than the whole. I think that if the white guy did it, I think that honestly, it would probably be a little backlash. He might lose some sponsorships, but he would definitely still be in the NFL.
Quick sentiment. Every lady in here knows a lady that's been in an abusive relationship, correct? Yes. All right. So now you told her every time she come to you crying about being cheated on, verbally or physically abused, girl, you need to leave him, correct? Yes. Now, whatever happened in that situation, she finally left. Did you judge and say, why you decide to leave now? No, you said, hey, girl, thanks for leaving. Let's go somewhere else. So my point is, when someone takes a stand towards something positive, stop judging the mere fact that they did it and appreciate the fact that they took some steps that some other folks wasn't prepared to do. Because Kaepernick is not winning. Financially, he's not winning. Okay, so he's not going to win this case, but he's making the NFL have to answer these BS charges for not hiring him.
All right. Waka Flocka made a comment during an interview stating that he was not black, along with other interesting comments as well. Did you understand his rant, or did you guys agree? I don't know if everyone got a chance to watch it, but some of the things that he stated, just because I'm sure probably everybody didn't get to see it, because I hesitated to even watch the whole thing. He kind of felt like we were in a matrix. He made comments as if, we kind of was just in a trance. Our lack of travel and seeing the world was a factor in that. He was telling us basically that, he felt like I guess black people kind of need to open up their minds a little bit more. He's been elsewhere, so he doesn't classify himself as black, the traditional black, because he's gotten the luxury of being able to see some of the finer things and see different people and the way, the way the world is elsewhere. So what do you guys think about that? Is that a form of him saying that he's had the privilege of seeing this, that, and the other, and that's why he feels like he's not black? Do you think that he was stating that black was lower than what he was? So, opinions.
I didn't hear all of the interview, but what I did take from what I heard was that he's saying that he's not the typical black, whereas people stereotype us as. That's what I took from it. Whereas they say like black people walk a certain way, do a certain type of thing. He said he's not that type of black. That's what I took from it.
So, but I think he is that type of black because that's the type of music that he puts out. And if you think about it like that, I mean, what type of black? Now, if you're thinking about it like a black that's in the hood or something, the black that's dancing to his music, buying his records, and I don't know. Is that what you're saying you can't relate to?
I mean, I don't personally think that he meant like to bash like the black community. Cause I personally make this joke a lot at work. I'm a bartender and server, and my most difficult customers are black people. So when I get a black person that I'm serving, I judge them automatically off of their body language or how they looking at me or how they speaking and how they dress. And people do that to me a lot when I go out too, which is why it makes me not feel like I need to judge black people, you know, the way they judge me. But at the same time, it's like you try to give them the benefit of the doubt, and about 80-70% of the time they say a lot of ignorant things or do a lot of ignorant things, and it makes you be like, well, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they proved me right, and they were ignorant just like I had the vision in my head.
I think it was a lost sense of consciousness. I think what he was looking to say is that we have been stereotyped based on our skin color, that we're automatically of African ancestry. Now, yes, if you go back biblically, the black man originated from Africa, but then it also bared fruits with other countries and continents. So just to see someone of color doesn't automatically mean that their original descendants 100 years ago were from Africa. I mean, you have Cuba, you have Spain, you have many other countries that gave off people of color. So I think if he took it to a little deeper level to say, I'm not sure what my origin is, or if he did get off his origin to say, hey, you know what, I have family of this descendant. Because again, white society has stereotyped us. If you're brown, you're automatically African American. But what if, again, your parents might have came over here on a different boat from India? So I think it's a lost sense of consciousness, and it wasn't really expressed properly. But again, it goes back into the judgment. I think Waka does stand for the people. He understands he has the same trials and tribulations as us as individuals. I think what he was saying more or less is don't stereotype me as your average black individual just based on my skin color. That there's other, countries, again, that bear fruit of people of color.
Well, I also think that something that he said that was different, he admitted to being ignorant about it. As we all discussed in previous shows, in school, they never taught us African American history. They only taught us American history. They taught us that basically our history started as we came over as slaves. They didn't really go into detail about the kings and queens that we were born and birthed from. So here's the thing, you have to understand that he is ignorant, and the fact that he stated his ignorance, I respect it, because I hate somebody just thinking that, they're going to just ramble and talk. And I mean, if that's what you feel like you are, if you don't want to classify yourself as black or whatever the case may be, I'm not offended by it because, you never put in on any of my bills. So it's cool. So I'm okay with someone establishing who they are as themselves, and that's just that. But I respect when somebody says that they just don't know. And I guess he was asked a question that he honestly just did not know what to, he wasn't expecting that. And he got that because when you look at the interview, he's just rambling. He honestly, and he keeps coming back with more replies to, well, I know everybody tripping about the stuff I said. Yeah, because you were rambling, and what you should have just started and finished with was I don't know. I'm ignorant to my history. And I wish that other people can also admit those things and seek forth to listen and learn more by Google.
I think African, not to piggyback off of what Reno said, but to expand on it. My mother's from the Bahamas. My father's from Cape Verde. I don't identify as African American. I'm a director in a Fortune 1 company. My VP is white, and we were just having a conversation the other day, and he was talking to me, and he's like, so, there's an African American person because there's African American. So I'm like, I know that he's uncomfortable at this point, and he's like, Chaka, like, are you uncomfortable with me just saying black? I'm like, no, I prefer you to say black. I'm black. I identify with Black. When people, yes, because I'm not. I'm Cape Verdean American. I'm a first. I'm a first immigrant here. Like I'm a first family. My mother was an immigrant. My father was an immigrant. I'm the firstborn here. So I think African American people, we're the only people who don't have a history. We have a history based in America. That's not an African history at all. We don't practice any African traditions. We don't know any African meals. We don't know any African holiday. We don't know any of that. So why are we identifying as African American?
I agree with you, and now that you explain that, I actually find that, you know what I'm saying, justified. But my question to you,
Italians have food.
as someone who isn't from somewhere else and is just Black, I guess, or whatnot, I guess my ancestors were slaves, all of them.
Mine were
Okay,
too, but
can't
in
you
a different
tell? But in this country, so what would I classify? What would you think? What would you say I should classify myself as if I wouldn't be classified as an African American? Am I just American?
I think you're just American. You're American. If you want to go back and go to Africa and understand that culture, like do you all right, so as an African American, on the flip side, playing devil's advocate, as an African American, what can you tell me about Africa right now? Nothing. We don't have a culture. African Americans don't have a culture. We don't have a food. We don't have a dress. We don't have anything. I celebrate Kwanzaa. That's just something, that's what I'm saying. That's an American holiday that was created here. You do? I do.
The only thing I want to say is the word Black to me is unique, because anything Black adds to, like, look at all of us. We're all Black, but we are all different shades of Black. And other races and color cannot create what we create. And by me being an employer, like you said, I have employed folks where when they get down to those questions, male and female, okay, they identify that. But then it's a slot that say other. So why are we concerned about really what nationality you fully are? Because you're still a human being at the end of the day. Whether you're Black, white, or Tiger Woods years ago said he's Caucasian. I Googled that word. It does not exist. But what I say about the Black race is that we're so unique. Anything we add to that Black, we can justify and create other things that other people cannot do. So if we do want to be specified as Black, then let's be Black. But then an application shouldn't have to ask me all my origin. Am I Italian? Am I white? Am I African American? Or I'm Puerto Rican? Because at this point, to me as an employer, a lot of my employees, they ask me, oh, well, what should I put? I said, because if that determines who I am and who you hire, then we're discriminating on our own self. So at the end of the day, that even shouldn't be a question. You are who you are. You're human.
Well, I do apologize, but when I fill out applications, I say I'm white. And I show up, and how surprised they act lets me know how big the case would be.
Two parts. I think Walker was speaking about the Black ignorance. Okay, I don't think he was speaking about a race as far as color. What he was saying is, I'm not a nigga. But again, it didn't come off correctly because that's not what he does. He doesn't do interviews, intellectual. He's a rapper from the hood. Now, being African American, I feel was something that white America felt like they was doing us a favor to say, okay, cool, you're American, but we're going to attach you to Africa, so that way you feel like you have some heritage. But at the end of the day, we're a lost people. Even Kwanzaa is something that was originated in America. So as African Americans, if you're not a descendant directly of Africa verbatim, meaning at least 100 years ago, then you're just a Black American within a country, so to hold Walker to certain standards, like, he doesn't speak for the people, so why do we care?
Yeah, and it's not a necessary fact of caring. I really think it's like on who we spending our money on and who we're investing our time listening to. I mean, I do. Like, social media has opened up the platform so that we can know the celebrities that we spending our money on. And yeah, social media has broken that wall, but I don't mind. Like, if I'm going to invest in these people and spend my money and buy these people albums, I do want to know if you hate ... or if you feel ... because I don't want to give you my money if but and that's personal.
But Walker has crossed over. Yeah. Walker's now doing college circuits, Yard, Harvard, Yale, Harvard. You know what I'm saying? So to make Walker be the person to say, well, he wasn't Black. Walker's already doing something else now. He's not the one that we even care anymore. You know what I mean? If he get pulled over by the police, he's going to call his attorneys and say Black Lives Matter. So again, Walker, we love you, brother. You know what I mean? We understand that you didn't know how to intellectually come off with what you were saying. We know that you're saying that you're not your average Negro because you've experienced life. That's all it was.
Question 6. Natural disasters are far more frequent recently. What do you think this means? And is this a sign? So I don't know about you guys, but I get a little, I read horoscopes and I pay attention and I read the Bible and whatnot. So, these things kind of are making me feel like, we're coming to the end of the world basically. And so I hate to be an extremist, but at times I am that way. Do you guys feel like it's a bigger being or something else? Or?
I've done some research.
Okay, so he's done research. We got some research, all right.
What I found is the thing called chemtrails. Have you ever saw those white lines up in the sky?
I thought those were the planes.
Planes? Actually, from what I've been reading, they're not. They're actually chemicals to try to block out the sun. Because, some people lack melanin and can't stand the sun. So why wouldn't you try to block out the sun to prolong your longevity? You can do your own research on this, but you see them pretty much. I remember when I was back in New York and it was the Super Bowl and they said it's going to be a tarantula, rainstorm, snowstorm. The day of the Super Bowl, it was 55 degrees, but you did see those chemtrails everywhere in New York City.
Interesting.
From a spiritual perspective, I feel like it's like a parent. When a parent tells a child not to do something for so many times, then a parent finally says, you know what, never mind, you think you grown, go and do you. I feel like God has set a tone as to what the rules and guidelines that he set for us as a people. And based on finance, we have gone against God and made money our God. So now God has literally set back and allowed man to maneuver throughout the world the way he feels fit and says, see, this is what happens when you don't listen to me. I don't think God is doing it. I think man has involved himself in whatever the term was, in interference with the global world. So now you're seeing these disasters and God is sitting back like, had you just listened to me, I would have you. But sometimes you have to let people punish themselves because, again, God set a tone for us. And that's what got us through slavery up until now was the faith and believing something beyond ourselves. But when it comes to white America, they always believed in themselves, like from the white Christ up until Trump.
Yep, exactly. Just to expand on what he said as far as chemtrails, I feel like HARP, I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, but they are controlling the weather. And just like you said, with people that have less melanin, they're going to feel like, you know what, let's get rid of some of these people because you can see that the natural disasters are happening in poor countries where there are a lot of brown people, or even in the United States where there are a lot of brown people as far as like Katrina and Houston where there are a lot of brown people. So they're trying to get rid of us because white people feel like the minority, which they really are the minority because there's brown people everywhere. They are, to me, the minority. It's brown people. I don't care where you go, you're going to find some brown people. So to control the weather with HARP, that's the easiest way to get rid of some people. You flood them out, you natural disaster them out. Like you have at a point where now in Puerto Rico where they don't even have electricity, you can't survive. In Flint, that's not necessarily natural, but we know that the government did that. They still don't have clean water in Flint. It's not a natural disaster, but it still has to do with water, which is from nature. It's the ultimate source. You can't live without water.
I think that it is the world responding to our neglect.
I think it's deeper than rap. To what the brother said, I think man has got involved in Mother Nature. So Mother Nature is just like a woman's cycle where it comes on a certain day and God understands how the woman's body is supposed to work. But then when they start injecting certain hormones in her body to test certain birth controls, now her body is off. It's not acting the way it's supposed to act. Now her breasts are tender at days it shouldn't be tender. So it's the same way when it comes to the weather. Man has been so involved in trying to take over what God ordained that now they're suffering the repercussions because it wasn't just black folks. Like this happened in Houston, Texas, damn near two months ago. So Houston, Texas is where George Bush and his family are from. So it wasn't just a color people thing. Man has now involved themselves in Mother Nature because they couldn't let God take it over. based on America, we have to be involved in everything that goes on. So now we're suffering the repercussions. It's like a snowball effect. We couldn't control where that snowball went. So now it's like, oh, damn, what do we do now? We can't do nothing. So, you know, to what the brother was saying here, man has now got involved in Mother Nature, and now man is suffering the repercussions of fucking with some shit that they had no idea what exactly how to control and how to contain.
Question 7. Due to the display of racism in America, especially with Mr. 45, do you feel like there is anything you could do different to make a stance against discrimination? Could it be, will you boycott the NFL like our boy Reno here? Will you protest for a cause, pick a cause, global warming, build a tree, you know, or support the Black economy more? What do you guys think that you can do to, you have people kneeling, you have people doing their other causes. What do you guys think that you can do in your everyday life that can affect or stand up for racism or discrimination?
I think a lot of us have opinions and we don't get out and vote. We're so focused on, oh, we should be doing this or they should be doing that, but we don't get out and vote. So to me, like, you need to get out and vote. That's what you can stand for. Get out and vote. We focus so much on the presidents and we don't focus on the judges that we're putting in office. If we don't get out and vote for these judges, yes, more Black people are going to get put in prison for things, for stupid things. Whereas white people they have the money to get off. We don't have the money to get off. So I think we need to get out and vote. And then as far as the Black economy, I think we need to invest more in our Black people. Like I know we have a lot of opinions about Black people, how they come into our establishments, how they tip and things like that, but exactly. But if we just support them, give them ideas, give them suggestions, like, you know what I'm saying, tell them what they can do better to make the establishment better instead of not going there and then going and investing in the white people.
Harlem sent me a post recently regarding the mayoral election, and there are about 5 or 6 mayoral candidates and 1 white woman. Okay, or let's say 11 mayoral candidates, which are all Black men, and then 1 white woman. I told him that I felt that the majority of the male Black men that were running were paid to run to spread the Black vote. So that way you have a thinning vote because folks are going to vote for this person because they go to Ebenezer. Someone else is a Pentecostal. I know him through my grandmother. So now the Black vote is spread out through 11 Black men. So then the white woman, who's a female and a white woman now, is the majority actually within a campaign of a bunch of Black men. So again, to expand, put your vote out there and play. You can't talk about what's going on in the world if you're not willing to go stand in line to vote, but you'll go stand in line to buy the newest Jordans. Yes, I have boycotted the NFL. I haven't been to any tailgates. You know, when it comes to my promotional team, we only do business in Black-owned clubs. I don't do tailgates, you know what I mean? None of that. So there's small ways that you can. Everybody doesn't have to be on the front line, but there's small things that you can do as an individual to make sure that you're supporting Black-owned businesses as well as making your vote count.
I don't see boycotting anything unless it really has to do with money and like statistics, because I think that that's how we really can hurt the world. So I'm challenging people to not shop on Black Friday. I want to create a campaign for that. Do not shop on Black Friday, and let's just see the numbers afterwards. You know, they always post the numbers. If you don't know where to find them, they're everywhere. They post the numbers on how Black Friday did, how the electronic department did, how Mercedes did. You know, we are the Black people are one of the #1 consumers for the Mercedes car. If you don't know, I've seen a whole store in Lenox. I was damn shocked. But yes, a Mercedes store in Lenox. So at the end of the day, just know that they are putting in place for you to continue to be the #1 consumer. You know what I'm saying? So just know it's all a work of this law. I feel like, honestly, where we can hurt them and we can protest and get the most outcome for what we do is to hit them where it hurts, the pocket. Save our money, because honestly, Black people, that's why they're quick to tell us to go back to Africa. We do nothing else for them. We don't run any of their big corporations. If we was to leave here, we're not taking nothing from them but being a customer. We are a customer to them, and that's it.
I personally don't feel that there's any bad protests. I feel like anytime someone stands up and says, I'm not putting up with that, I think is an amazing thing, because I think we have laid on our backs literally men and women and have gotten fucked for so long that finally when someone says, I'm not going to take this, it's like, well, why are you not going to take that? So right, you've been taking it. So I don't believe that there's any bad protests or bad boycotts. I think what I get out of it is that we can unify. but we just have to continuously and be consistent with the unity. Right.
But-
So not just one time, but be consistent with it.
People that are standing up doing something different, these people are doing something that everybody's watching, it's embarrassing, they can lose money, let's encourage them. Let's not ask them why they're doing it, when they're doing it, how they did it, what's the problem. Let's just be like, yo, it's a step forward for us. It's somebody that's speaking for us, and we don't have many to do so. I thank you guys so much. This was really one of my shows that I really can say that people was able to express themselves. Like, I really value a lot of things that came out of you guys' mouth. So thank you all so much. This is the conclusion to Painted Convos, episode 8, Discrimination for All. You guys did an amazing job. I hope you all check out my YouTube channel, Painted Convos, and you can also check me out on social media at painted_BLAQ. Thanks for tuning in. Painted Convos.